Hey Lionheart folks, it's Lev. Welcome back to another video. For those of you who are new, I use he and pronouns. This is MTV. Welcome to the crib. This is in my house, by the way. I don't have a fancy bed like this, and I don't have a picture of stones on my wall. I'm filming this at 11 o'clock at night, so my brain's a little fried. But I really wanted to make a video. My last day in Tassie in filming this video, and I'm gonna be going back on a cruise ship, and by the time this video is posted I would be back in Melbourne, and I would have survived another trek on the Spirit of Tasmania. And this video is completely off topic. Another thing that's off topic before I start is I want to show you my setup. So this is literally how I set up my stuff. That's the Rode mic. That's my tripod. This is a phone holder that has a thing that connects to my Rode mic. You can see the audio recording, and yeah. In this video, I wanted to talk about health, and I might make a playlist about health and well-being stuff, with videos specific to health and well-being stuff. But in this video specifically, I want to talk about the brain and the body connection, and sort of the mind and gut connection as well, and how physical and mental health are very, very interlinked and affects each other in ways which we might not know. And I'm going to give two major examples of experiences in my life that really strongly illustrate the point I'm making about the mental and physical connection and how strong it is. So, prefacing this video, I'm not a medical doctor, I'm not a nurse, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a dietitian, I'm not any of those people. I'm not a medical professional. So the video is me talking about my lived experiences and what I know to be like true. Definitely, this is not medical advice. Do see your health professional if there is stuff going on, and speak to the actual professionals about it, and don't use this video as like medical consultation because I'm not a doctor. Let's start. So historically, mental health and physical health concerns and issues have been seen as like independent of one another. And it's really reinforced in my experience of medical treatment seeing medical professionals for physical symptoms, because they see it very independently from mental health, and there's no consideration of mental health in sort of diagnosing and like exploring things. For example, it took me 3 years to get diagnosed with IBS. And specialist doctors, I went to like different GPs. I went to different gastroenterologists. So basically, the specialist doctors who specialize in the gut and the abdomen and intestinal area. Basically, they're doctors who specialize in the gut. Yes, I got procedures done. Everything came back negative, yet I kept getting abdo pain for 3 years until I was diagnosed with IBS and having experienced food tolerance and visceral hypersensitivity, which is nerves in my gut being hypersensitive to things, and that's worsened by poor mental health and anxiety and whatnot. And I'll get back to that later. But yeah, it's sort of treated separately, independent of one another, and they're not really looked at together. And that's a major problem because the brain and the body really strongly interlink. Here's a reflective question. Have you ever noticed how that when you feel down mentally or not doing well so mentally, you physically feel worse? And if you're physically not doing very well, it can affect the mental health well-being of it can affect your mental health well-being, and you may feel worse mentally if you're physically unwell, and if you're mentally unwell you can feel physically unwell. Just take a second to think about that and see if what your experience of that is like, because for me they're strongly interlinked. If I'm mentally doing not well, physically I feel like garbage. If I'm physically not doing well, it can often lead me to feel not so good mentally. And now I'm going to go back to my concrete example of first IBS. IBS is sort of like a blanket diagnosis. For those of you who don't know, IBS stands for irritable bowel syndrome, and it includes things like abdominal pain, abdominal discomfort, bloating, diarrhea, nausea. It's sort of like a blanket statement term. It's not like a specific diagnosis like a specific heart condition, or like I used to experience gastritis, which is like sort of acid. I don't know. I think the acid was like messing with the lining of my gut because I had too much acid. It was too acidic or something along those lines. And I took like Gaviscon and like anti-acid stuff, meds. It's not a specific diagnosis because it's so strongly interlinked with the brain, the IBS. Spoiler alert, the way I sort of managed IBS in the end, and the thing that sort of cured it, for lack of better words, not completely like the thing that significantly changed my life is actually gut-directed hypnotherapy, which is psychological therapy targeted at the gut, which again reinforces how strongly the mind and the gut interlinked, and the mind and the body interlinked. But back to IBS. Irritable bowel syndrome, yep, includes symptoms like diarrhea, nausea, abdominal pain, abdominal discomfort. It's a blanket statement for like sort of gut symptoms and gut discomfort and things along those lines that don't really fit in other specific medical diagnosis, like a specific gut condition, a specific intestinal condition, something along those lines. It's like a blanket term. It's like something's going on with your gut. Essentially, it's like something's going on with your gut, right? But we don't have a specific diagnosis for it. We don't exactly know what it is, but it's just yeet IBS at you and voila, you have IBS. Your food doesn't digest well, something going on with different foods that are food allergies, yeet, you have IBS. Yeah. For me, IBS, imagine a dial, and the dial that can be amped up or turned down. For me, IBS is both a physical and mental sort of experience, for lack of better words, where the mental, how I'm doing mentally controls the dial on how bad my IBS gets. So if I'm having a good day or a good like period in my life, my IBS isn't as noticeable. I can tolerate the foods that I have a lower tolerance to much better. Whereas if I have a period of time where my mental health is bad, or I'm low, or I'm just not doing so well, my IBS symptoms, especially my abdominal pain, get worse because my gut becomes hypersensitive. Like the hypersensitivity radar sort of goes up and my tolerance level goes down. So it's very much a mental and physical game. And it's interesting because it's something called visceral hypersensitivity, where the nerves in my gut are basically hypersensitive, more hypersensitive than someone who doesn't experience IBS to foods and say the mental health aspects of things. Another example, or sort of it's related to IBS, is when we eat junk food, right? We feel awful. We feel sluggish. I'm pretty sure that's all of us, almost all of us, after we eat some sort of junk food or food that we know is not very good for us, but it's enjoyable. We often feel awful, like sluggish, and like heavy and not so good. And sometimes we can experience this mental fog, or just like this feeling of like mental sluggishness after we eat something that makes us feel physically sluggish. That's an example of how the body and the mind link. Like, you will feel different if you eat, say, a carrot or a salad and not a McDonald's salad, or salad that's drenched with heavy sauce and things that aren't very nourishing. Just a plain salad. Pretend you're eating a plain salad versus a McDonald's meal. I would assume that you would feel better after eating a salad compared to a McDonald's meal. And that's because the two meals are different, have different effects on our gut, which then have different effects on our brain and our mind. Another example, a concrete example it's a different example to IBS, is how my psychological distress and the pent-up emotions I experience manifest in the form of physical symptoms that are not medically explained. Because I went to the doctors, I went to get scans, I did blood tests, everything came back normal, everything came back as me functioning physically healthy. I'm physically healthy, nothing's wrong with my organs, nothing's wrong with my blood, nothing's wrong at all, nothing's wrong with the structural integrity of my organs and the body itself. But I experienced really bad headaches ongoing, really bad nausea on and off, chest pains. There were points where I experienced burning chest pain. I actually went to ER for that the first time I experienced it, because I had no idea what the hell was going on. And then I went into ER, which is the emergency room, or ED, the emergency department, because of burning chest pain. I'm like, wait, am I dying? Is this a heart attack? Or like, what is this weird thing that's going on? And I sort of freaked. So I went to the emergency room or the emergency department naturally, because I'm like, what's going on with my heart? They did a bunch of tests. They checked it. I was discharged. They're like, there's nothing going on. You're healthy. There was no explanation for it. So basically, it was nothing medical. It was nothing medical. Nothing medically wrong. Nothing physically wrong. So, and I observed over time that this was a pattern. It's a result of the mental health aspect, the psyche. The first time it was very prominent, that went on for like years on end, that I noticed like weird like nausea and like chest pain and headaches, and was when I was figuring out and going through the trans journey and trying to understand my identity. The symptoms of chest pain, nausea, and really bad headaches on and off all came from lying to myself. As in, I was in denial about my trans identity for so long. My subconscious was like, you're trans, I know you're trans, just come on, just face it, come on, let's go. But my conscious mind was like, no, I'm not trans. Well, am I? Well, no, I can't be trans, I'm cis, like there's no way. I just kept denying it, kept sweeping it under the rug, and over time, I have noticed a pattern of the symptoms getting worse. So at first, the symptoms of like nausea and pain are like mild, like, and there are periods where it's there and it annoys me, and there are other periods where I distract myself enough that it doesn't really manifest. But it's always there, it comes and goes, and over time, like over the months and even into the second or third year, it starts intensifying. It gets worse and worse and worse. And no matter what I did, going to the doctors to get things checked out, I spent time in nature, I exercised, I ate healthy, I saw my friends. No matter like the typical remedies for like mental health distress and stuff, like, you know, meditate, journal, go spend time in nature, go outside, go socialize, go exercise, look after yourself. I shower well, I eat well, I exercise, I see people, I go outside. Yet they are all just band-aid solutions. I felt fine temporarily, and then when I get back to my regular state of not engaging in those activities, shit gets real again. So it's basically, I can't run from this. And the funny thing is, right, after I came out to myself, after I basically stopped fighting with myself, can you guess what happens? Before I tell you, I'll give you a few seconds. After I accepted it and stopped fighting with myself and accepted I'm trans and came out to myself, it was like nothing ever happened at all. All of this tension in my head, the weird nausea, the chest pain just disappeared. It was like a valve of like pressurized air being pent up and then it's being released and it's like psst, out. That's exactly what happened after I came out. The symptoms just vanished. And I found that so fascinating. At first, at the time that I was experiencing this stuff, it was not very obvious to me, like this link and how physical mental health distress manifests in physical symptoms. Like I did not have the knowledge I didn't have the knowledge at the time. The knowledge I have now, I did not have at the time. So things were not very obvious to me. Even though I talk about it now and it sounds very obvious, it wasn't obvious to me at the time and it took me time to figure out. So that is a very concrete example of what I mean. And it's not the first time it happened. So after this, right, other things in my life, like the fighting with myself, the fighting with myself between my conscious mind and my conscious mind being in denial and my subconscious mind knowing what's good for me, my gut instinct knowing what's good for me, my body knowing what's good for me. The more I deny listening to my gut, my body, and my subconscious, the worse things get for me. And it's part of learning how to trust myself. Now that I'm trusting myself more, and now that I'm trusting myself more and listening to my body, listening to my gut, not fighting with myself so much, I don't really experience these symptoms. Minus the headaches because I had a concussion earlier in the year, but like it's not the same thing. It's interesting. So after hearing me talk about myself, I wonder what your experiences have been like unexplained medical things, going to the doctors and they're just like, we don't know what's going on. They just give you a bunch of different meds, throw you on a bunch of different meds, might work in the interim, but it doesn't really address the underlying problem. Just again, have a think, reflect, and if you'd like, share in the comments below. I love to hear them. But yeah, it's just really interesting to me. And now I see the physical symptoms. Like if my mental health gets really bad to that point again, or it gets really bad and I start experiencing symptoms like that again, then I know that it's basically my body and my mind's way, my subconscious mind's way of sending me a signal. It's trying to communicate with me because, and I mentioned before, the reason it got so bad is because I wasn't listening to it, and it basically got fed up in like, it got more aggressive because I wasn't listening to it. And had I listened to it earlier, it wouldn't have gone so aggressive, it wouldn't have gone so bad. So this has been like, these experiences have been a lesson in listening to my subconscious, listening to my gut, honoring my boundaries. It's not trying to hurt me, it's trying to help me. And it only gets aggressive because I don't listen to it. It don't heed its warning, and then it gets worse and it gets worse and it gets worse. yes, it's sending me a message. It's trying to communicate something to me, being like, I'm not okay with this situation, or the way I'm doing something in my life is not working, or this certain thing, this food I ate isn't so great. Let's not do that again. Or there's something I need to address. There's this underlying issue that I might have been like suppressing for too long, or there's this new issue that just came up that I need to be aware of, or something. It's just trying to communicate something to me about me to change something for the better, because what is going on right now, what I might be doing right now, some puzzle pieces in my life aren't working. It's not fitting. And my gut, my subconscious, and my body are trying to tell me that, hey, these puzzle pieces aren't fitting right now. You need to fix it. You need to carve out the other. You need to carve out a new puzzle piece so it fits the rest of the puzzle. Or this puzzle piece is old. You don't need it anymore. Throw it out. Get a new piece. It's just, I sort of see my life, now that I start talking about puzzles, a giant puzzle, like a jigsaw puzzle specifically. It's a giant jigsaw puzzle with ongoing moving pieces, and the picture of the jigsaw puzzle continuously changes. So I would need to update pieces, change pieces, have different pictures. It's just an ever-changing jigsaw puzzle with ongoing moving pieces. And that's what, again, my mind and my body are trying to tell me through these symptoms that I don't listen to. So the takeaway for this video would be, listen to your body. Listen to your subconscious. Don't listen to your gut instinct. Don't ignore it. Acknowledge it. Communicate with it. Like, be gentle with it. Communicate with it. Try to understand it. Try to befriend it instead of neglecting it or seeing it as a mortal enemy where it's just a nuisance and you just try to swat it away like an annoying fly. Listen to it, communicate with it, and communicate with it because it's trying to guide you, it's trying to help you. Your gut is trying to help you, gut instinct is trying to help you. Your body your body is not your enemy if you don't treat it like your enemy. Like, nurture your body, nurture your mind, and it will help you in return. Thanks for watching, folks. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was interesting. You got some interesting insights out of it. And I will see you in the next video.